Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Tristan here from 𝗦𝗡𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏, and in this video, my aim is to go through some alts and see if we have some sort of intraday to swing trade opportunity based on what the market structure looks like. Because after that initial push down, we do have a lot of alts that are recovering. At the same time, they're forming higher lows, and we are forming some decent structure to the upside. Some have good breaker structure, so which will give us some indication that we may be attacking buy side liquidity that sits around the premium of the swing. So I'll just go through some of the steps that I go through personally to find which alts will be worth looking into, and see what potential setups we can see in different coins, basically. So what I have here is like a very generic style of list. So I have this on in alphabetic order, so from A to Z, and I'm not too sure how many exactly. How many? Let's see if I can find the exact number. Over 84 symbols basically, and the way I have designed, I have marked them out is just basically based on change and volume. So what I normally do is that when I expand the list, I like to go and see which coin has the most volume moving through it, and then I just what I do normally is that I just mark them as orange, so which means it's on Ember. So an alert sort of thing. So this is something that I'll be looking at eventually when I go back to the full list and go through them. So STMX, I know that this coin moves and there's good healthy volume. 𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗨𝗣𝗦, I know this coin moves as well, but these volumes can be sometimes very erratic. So I'm not a very big fan. I try to go for like some big names in alts, which I know that they will hold some good value. And also at the same time, when you look at the average volume based on last 10 days, that's also an important thing, right? So filtering on just volume basis will give you just the daily volume on alts, on how they move and which alts is receiving the majority of the volume in whatever session you are, because this is basically current. So it can be for Asia, if you're looking at it in Asian time zone, it can be for London or New York based on whenever you're looking at it. But so just to get an idea, and I just try to select like top 5. I don't go over more than top 5, and then just like go shift through them. And if I don't see anything, I'll just settle with like big movers. Of course, there's BTC and ETH. We can also drop down in lower time frames to find trades. But yeah. So I like, personally, I like Gala, the way Gala moves. I also like the way Doge moves. So I'll be marking them as well. So HTMX, Gala, Doge, and HBAR has had a very decent month. So I'll definitely keep that in my list. And of course, there's XRP, but I'm not a very big fan. It's personal preference. Of course, you guys can do whatever you feel comfortable with. But these are just my steps. And then I just sift them through average volume in last 10 days. So you see STMX still comes out to the top, and then we have BLZ. BLZ moves nicely, so we'll just mark that off as well, BLZ. And so yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins so far. So I think that's a pretty healthy amount. And then I just filter my list based on the tags that I've put on, and let's go through them one by one. So looking for intraday time frame setups, I just go in on the 6 hour. 6 hours is basically a good happy medium where you can split the whole 24 hours in four durations, and you can just have like a good feel of what the volume looks like and how the price is moving. Of course, you can go up to the weekly time frame to get a higher time frame narrative. Like, okay, yeah, we have a higher time frame sweep on the weekly time frame, and now we have snapped back into the range, but we still have bullish momentum. So we have like, okay, weekly it's still looking bullish. On the daily, what do we see? So daily, this is the push back down. So the snap back into the range that we saw on the weekly, that's the daily reaction. What did daily candle do here? We went down into the order block respective and pushing up. So now this order block becomes an important zone. And so this will basically either become the failure swing, or this may become breaker depending on how price reacts, and based on how much volume we get. Because of course, when you look at the daily time frame, we do see that there's a lot of volume behind it. So that of course we can assume it may keep pushing, but also keeping in mind that we have tagged a high time frame zone. So we can definitely see a deeper retracement because of the reaction of big buy side liquidity being tapped. So on the daily, it's a good practice to just mark out the 50% of the swing that you're in. Of course, this is not confirmed because it hasn't been taken out just yet. So, but this low so far will become our first point of interest. If the price is drawing down, this will be just something that I will be looking at for intraday time frame drop based on like 6 hours or 4 hours. So yeah, daily time frame, we have a narrative. We have a narrative on weekly, which is still bullish, but we have pullback phase. Daily, same thing, giving us the confirmation, dropping down to the 6 hourly time frame. We do see that price is building up liquidity and the lows are not being swept, and this one was, but we do not have an impulsive close below it. So this is the fractal low that was formed, which took that high, and then we chopped around here. The high stayed intact here, and so this high stayed, and then price has given us what, a failure swing. Once the failure swing, we have an impulsive close to the downside, and this is on the 6 hour time frame. So this is the low, and then that's the intermediate. So this is the intermediate term low. So both of the lows were taken out impulsively. So which tells us that yeah, there is selling, but this low is still holding because we have not closed below it. So my preference would be like a good impulsive strong close like this, how we had it underneath these two candles. When these lows were taken out, we had a nice strong pressure down. So we are basically sweeping this low, snap back up into the range. We may go mitigate this order block or the 50% of this failure swing, and then we may eventually come down from there. But you never know. It can do either side. It can start impulsing to the downside, or it can just impulse to the upside. So just be prepared, have some alerts set. So what I normally do is that, okay, now we have break a structure to the downside, fractal break to the downside, impulsive sweep. Now this becomes our dealing range because the low has been swept, the high is still intact. So we mark this as our dealing range for now, and I'll just move this around into here so you just have an idea like, okay, this is our daily failure swing. This is the higher time frame zone that was tapped, so we just move it like this, and we are seeing a reaction. We do have a close above on the 6 hour, and then we have bearish close, which means that price is trying to draw. Also, we can see that there is mitigation of the fair value gap in here. So there's a mitigation pushed up, but we do not have enough momentum like this candle to take the highs out. So we have to also keep that in mind that, yeah, there is a possibility that these lows can eventually be targeted and will get run. We also have to make sure that we have this marked out as relative equal lows. So we'll just mark that off quickly. And I think that's pretty much it on the 6 hour time frame too. So that's there, and we can just change it to that. And this was the swing, 50%. You see the reaction. We have push up, price pushes back down, pushes up. It's finding some sort of liquidity, but it's not strong enough for it to close above it. But now we are definitely seeing some sort of impulsive price action. But I wouldn't be very keen at this moment to take a long. I'd rather be more interested in taking a short once I have like displacement. Price comes, mitigates that level, and then I can look for some downtrend. Price action continuation, basically. So on the 6 hour time frame, we do have that. We do have this area, which is basically going to become an inversion point where price will eventually break through and then come back down into and break into these lows. So two areas of interest on the 6 hour time frame. So either price is going for this order block, failure swing, and then come back down, or price is just going to start impulsing down from here. Okay, going to the 4 hourly time frame. Not a lot of difference. We can just quickly zoom in and have a look at this. So we do have an idea where this 50% is of the swing, so we just mark it in this sense. Bam. And you can remove this 50%. Yep, we're finding resistance basically. Also, something to note is that we have relatively equal highs just right around here, and so there is a potential that price may just mitigate these levels, and then price may just come further down into the lower time frame zones or the swing liquidity. So that's how I like to see price action form. I will have some alerts set around here. So mitigation of this order block. So there you go, alert set. And mitigation of this order block, I will try to see some displacement to the downside from this area. And then once we have that, we will try to form narrative-based entry models. Like, yep, we have displacement, now we can look for shorts. So BLZ looks okay, but nothing at this point, no entries at this point. But yeah, I'll be interested in taking some shorts around here. Okay, dropping into Doge, same sort of situation. We can start with the weekly, and we can remove the drawings here. Yeah, start on the weekly. What do we see? We do have bearish price action. We are in a downtrend. Of course, we can see that, and it's like mostly like a continuation. But then again, we also see that there is lows that are being formed, and we are seeing mitigation of these lows. See prices coming down, and now closing below it, and this is the lowest low that was formed. Price is basically coming into that range, mitigating this order block long from 2021. Still long orders, but then again, we do have inefficiencies sitting here. So there is a high possibility that this area can eventually be of interest for the upcoming weeks, because it is low resistance liquidity run. Because the way I say that is we have mitigation, continuation to the downside, mitigation here and there, mitigation, continuation to the downside. And I'll just zoom into this price action so we can have a better view of that. And this is the weekly time frame, mind you. So we have bearish price action without body closure to the downside. So there is also a high possibility that price will just impulse up, and this is low resistance liquidity run. So it's easy for price to just take that out. If it was the other way around, like this, we'll just mark this out LR. Perfect. So it's low resistance. If price was doing something like this, where the previous high was taken out, swept, and then price continued to the downside, that becomes a high resistance liquidity run, because it's difficult for price to take out such price action and continue to the upside. But this is basically liquidity generation to the downside, and now it just really depends on who wins the race and then who continues. So on the weekly time frame, that's what we have. So we have a bullish narrative as of now. Looking at the daily, we have this range as a swing. So daily high, daily low. So we can just remove that and get a daily low. Perfect. There you go. And these are our weekly run on liquidity. So we can just remove that for now. We already know that, yep, price is now closing below that. And like always, we can just mark out our 50. And there we go. So 50 is marked out on the daily. Struggling to close above. We have price action. We do see impulses in there, but we are also coming into what buy to sell wick, a flip zone where price will eventually breaker. Sorry. Price had a lot of sell volume, and now price is just reacting to this sell volume in this wick, if that makes sense. And this is a reaction. If we start to continue downside and we take these lows and then we drop down below the daily lows, then we have a different narrative. But yep, this is a reaction to this price action. If we close above it with conviction, opposite candles to these, then we can always look for highs, target them on intraday basis. So that's all we have on the daily. Dropping to the 6-hour time frame, we will try to see what the order flow looks like. So accumulation, this is classic accumulation because price is just oscillating between, or it's just basically range bound. So price is neither breaking the high nor breaking the low. It's just basically going back and forth, back and forth. And the way you can note accumulation is by using bodies. So if you mark out the candles based on the body to body, like you see, this is just wick, raid, snap back in, body closes within the range, pushes down, takes the liquidity, snaps back in where liquidity is being generated. So sideways accumulation, and then we broke out to the upside, which took us into the what? The buy to sell wick or the buy to sell range into this order block, and then we push back in. So there is a potential that we may accumulate similarly like here, and we can impulse out from here to the upside, or we can just continue to the downside, because this impulse up tells us what? Tells us that there is buying volume here. So to offset or distribute their long, they will come down, even take these relative equal lows, liquidity is being generated, maybe push some people out by taking it to the downside of that wick, and then accumulation, and boom, similar set of price action. Because looking at higher time frames, we do know that there is relative equal highs residing above here, and then there is order block within the supply zone, which eventually will get mitigated for further price move. So if price is continuing its bullish phase, it will do something like this, comes back down, maybe even do this. This will be where we will look for entries to the upside, because there is a very high potential that very high chance that price may take out the swing lows or stop losses and then continue to the upside. So the real move eventually happens. So this is one way of looking at price action, and then you can drop down into the 4-hour time frame or the 1-hour time frame, depending on what your entry models are, to find out where your drawn liquidity is and what your next potential trade will be. So yeah, so for now, I'll just keep it at 2 coins. I don't want the video to be too long, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how to dissect price action, and also shortlist coins that you can look for high probability trades in the upcoming days or weeks. And yeah, until then, see you guys next time. Stay safe. Happy trading.